There's been a lot of conversation about the darkness of season 2 of Andor. And I think in this conversation between Denise Gough and Kyle Soller at Star Wars Celebration, we get some really interesting tidbits about the new season, which I'm recording this today. Today is Andor Day, and I can't wait till later. But listen to what she has to say as she answers this question.
Piece. Yeah. And your two characters were big breakouts for people. And are
Don't know what that says about you guys.
so much. Well, that's the thing. It's not normally characters that we feel very complicated about, right?
Yeah.
We look at the Empire, we look at Imperials, and sometimes we love them because they're kind of Machiavellian and larger than life, and sometimes we hate them. But it's very rare to feel sorry for an Imperial officer. Yeah. You know?
Yeah, that's going to change.
I think this comment right here, this little quip back, says a lot about Dedra's character and what's going to happen, her role in the massacre that's going to come. I think we're not going to see her in the same light, or at least that's how she's portraying it. It really makes me think that what she's going to do is going to be so horrific that we don't feel sad for her. She's going to be the villain. I think this also gets back to why I don't think she was getting force choked in that clip we saw in the trailer. I think she's going to do some absolutely horrible things. And I think it's going to change a lot of how we even view the darkness and the evil of the Empire.
Can I say something? This isn't on the cards, but it's very interesting for me. Is it fair to say that your two characters are just like the ickiest couple in Star Wars? They're just like so icky.
There's a funky weird.
Yeah.
I think there's a new term we need to come up with in the dictionary. Yeah, weird,
Like
funky weird. They're really
funky weird.
Funky weird.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, but I think us too. Like when there's a scene that we were shown the other day where they're somewhere together and they're just sort of looking at each other. And even as actors, we're like, what are they doing?
And we see that. I think that's what makes the romance, so to speak, between the two of them very okay. It's almost a humor. It's almost the joke of the show is that these two are kind of finding solace in each other, are drawn to each other. But listen what they say here in a little bit about this scene and Cyril's mom's role in it. It just makes me so interested to actually watch the scene they're going to talk about.
Catherine is not so much of a well-kept secret anymore, but
Yeah.
In England, she is a dame.
Yeah, she's a legend.
Yeah, I mean, she's a living legend.
Yeah.
And what she achieves with Edie is, I think, nothing short of magnificent. And then when you plop Edie into Cyril and Dedra's hermetically sealed, weirdo, funky apartment, and she just swans in and blows the place up with her
God,
weirdness.
it's
That scene, this dinner party from hell, was
A dinner party from hell. Like the fact that all three of them are going to be in a scene together at a dinner party, like meeting the mother-in-law. Wow. I think that's going to be absolutely hilarious.
it's probably
It's
one
so
of the
good.
top three things.
Yeah, for
this
sure.
season.
And it's early on, so it's like before things get super dark, you get to see the kind of weird domestic meet the mother-in-law scene. And she comes in like
No, it's-
entirely dressed in color, and Dedra's like, what is going on?
She's spilling
She
her
touches-
stuff everywhere.
yeah.
She's eating everything.
Yeah.
She's dripping stuff everywhere, and she's just like,
Brilliant.
deal with it.
Yeah, it's so good.
You've inherited me now.
Yeah.
So
But
good.
Dedra figures it out.
Yeah. And I mean, Dedra's sort of journey too. Like if Cyril's sort of, both characters have this thing that is both their ambition and the thing that is holding them back, right? Cyril's mother he wants his mother to love him, but she is clearly just a destructive force in his life.
Yep.
And for Dedra, that's the Empire.
Yeah, totally. And also, what you're seeing is like someone who's indoctrinated. Dedra's been brainwashed from a very young age that the Empire is the one true power, and she can't see outside of that. And actually, it's quite tragic because to live that way, neither of these characters have an example of love or intimacy in the way that, Cassian has Marva in the
Yes.
first season, literally telling him what love is and showing him what love is. Neither of these people have access to that. And so,
And this is what Tony Gilroy has said about Cyril's character particularly, that he kind of is being drawn to and attached to whatever will show him love back. It's partly why he's drawn to Dedra. It's why he's drawn to the Empire. It's what he knows, it's his comfort, and he's been kind of indoctrinated, maybe in the same way that someone on the rebel side who's seen the evil of the Empire has been indoctrinated the other way. And it just so happens that the way that he finds acceptance or it's this weird kind of place in it, even though he's trying to do the right thing and gets punished for it at first, it's a really interesting, deeper look into that character. And one of the reasons why his character works, we see these motivations, we see it play out, and I'm really interested to see how that's going to play as things continue to get, as they're saying, darker as the show goes on.
So I think it's really, you really see the effect of growing up that way. And poor Dedra, she can't have intimacy or love or any of it, but she still does awful things and must be punished.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? Is she does not have a model of any sort of right and wrong other than good for the Empire, bad for the Empire.
Yeah.
And something that was very interesting to watch you play with Dedra in season 1 was this thing of like, she is smarter than most of the people in the room. She is more dedicated than most of the people in the room. You see a lot of
Like me.
Yeah.
No offense.
Okay. I mean, I think every actor and actress has a little bit of arrogance in them. That's kind of funny, though.
Anyone?
Yeah. But you see a lot of that, like, the Empire in Andor is definitely depicted in a way that is unique to sort of newer Star Wars, which is most people are just there for a paycheck.
Yeah, exactly. And they wear they're messy and they sit like this. And Dedra's like a pure, thoroughbred Empire.
True believer.
True believer.
Yeah.
And it's what makes her so dangerous. Like, I do think this season gets much darker, In the first season, it was really
Good, because
fun.
the first season, too light, too fun.
Too light, too
funny.
fun.
It was honestly cartoonish.
Especially all the torture and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, just not scary enough. But I do think, in the first season, I got to play with the idea, everybody fell for her as the girl boss,
Yes.
It's like, oh my God, she's a woman in a man's world and all of that. And then suddenly she's torturing Bix. And
It's
it's
like-
like, oh no, what have I put my faith in?
It's like, yeah, she's a bigger monster in a monster's world, really.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
it's really good to play with the idea of whatever you identify as being. It doesn't really matter. If you're a fascist, you're a fascist, and that
Yes.
level, right?
Wow.
That was exciting. But it's true, and I think that it's really great by making her female initially in season 1. It's like you got to trick people, and now, but in season 2, she shows what it means when you live inside a system and refuse to see outside the system, and you refuse to walk amongst the other. So the other
Yes.
become the enemy, and you can't live that way. If you live that way, you deny yourself all the things that make us human. So poor Dedra,
Well, and I think that this exactly what she's saying, and one of the messages that I've been taking away from Andor, even from season 1, is part of the problem with our world today is we don't have places for nuanced conversation. Everything is one side or the other. Just go to any comment section, and that's all you see is this kind of blind following to your perspective. And why I think it's becoming so much easier to only interact with people that you disagree with in a adversary, just combative type of role, instead of the way it usually is, which there's tons of people in my life that don't agree with me on tons of different things, but we can still be friends and have conversation even about the things we disagree with. And we see that in this show, particularly with how the ISB is shown, how the Empire is shown, that exactly what she's saying is very much true in all times, in all places, that when we get put in a silo and we only ever see people that disagree with us as the enemy, then everything becomes a battle, everything becomes a fight. And that's why we get comments like we do, that all Star Wars fans are racist, that they're toxic, that they're the problem, because every time we see someone who we disagree with, we're just labeling them immediately as the enemy. I'll probably disagree with some of you watching this right now about our perspectives on Star Wars, but you're not my enemy. And I don't see it that way, but sometimes when people come with disagreements, that's what we see. We're conditioned right now with social media and the way we interact digitally online to really just shut everything out and call everyone around us who disagrees enemies. And I think that's something to definitely be taken away from the show, to look outside of your own perspective, even to the perspectives you disagree with. And she's going to get to a point here that I think is why that's so important.
Andor does have some strong things to say. There are through lines here that are applicable to people's lives and to lives in society. I mean, what has the series meant to you as you've been working on it?
Oh man, exactly that. I mean, I think it opened me up to the gift of Star Wars, actually. It's been telling this story for almost 50 years, and it's a story that we've been wrestling with since we came onto this fucking planet, which is how do we live together harmoniously? Can we do that? How do we exert power over one another? How do we love? How do we sacrifice? What does it mean? And Andor, man, just takes that to a whole new level. And it isn't just applicable to now. You could show it 100 years ago, you could show it 100 years from now. It would resonate even more deeply because it's so universal. It's so potent to our human experience. And because it is so dark and so much darkness happens in season 2, you're broken open to actually confronting yourself going, there has to be another way.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the point that as people get frustrated about the darkness in Andor comparative to other Star Wars, saying that this isn't Star Wars, it's too dark, it's too serious. At the same time, I think that was part of what George Lucas was always trying to do, to expose that this battle between good and evil, that there really is true evil out there, and that true evil must be fought against. Now, we might disagree on how we define those things, but I think it's those types of universal truths that make Star Wars timeless, that make things like Lord of the Rings timeless, and other shows not as much.
And I
It's
think
like an
that's-
empathy gym. You know, fiction is an empathy gym. It's where we can find a way to empathize that is maybe feels a bit safer than if you're watching pure, like the news or whatever. You know, if you have great storytelling, it can open you up to all sorts of new things. And I do think that, unfortunately, we seem to be doing the same things. And the human race keeps doing the same stuff, which means Andor would be as relevant 100 years ago as it will be, unfortunately, maybe 100 years from now. Like, hopefully we can just learn empathy.
Yes.
It's going to get us out of many holes.
I think that she's right. However, the reality is most oftentimes when we engage with people, empathy is not a part of the conversation, not a part of the interaction. Again, everything is this adversarial role. And just saying that and not living that is part of the problem too. This isn't just a, hey, fight all fascists, blah, blah, like, right? Like, and then we apply it one for one today. Tony's already talked about how the whole point of Andor is not to be applied with a newspaper in one hand and watching Andor in the other. That's not what this is about. But instead, I think you can learn lessons like this. And that's part of the beauty. What did we learn from Star Wars as a whole? The relationship between father and son, and what redemption can look like, that there can be forgiveness, that there can be a hope that people be redeemed. I think some of these universal truths is what makes Andor so special. It's what makes Star Wars so special. And it's why I think this darkness that Andor is going to go into, all of the different forms, whatever you think that might be right now, I think all the different forms that darkness of Andor season 2 is going to take, I think is one, going to be hard to watch at times, but also push us towards this deeper reality and understanding that this is a universe where deep and dark evil things happen, which make the rebellion that much more significant, that make the Jedi that much more significant, that make the Sith that much more evil, that makes this battle for the good and the evil that exists in all of Star Wars that much more interesting.